which means that he can't do anything, but he can do it well.
Right. Now, does a protocol droid come with a GPS? Is that, did he have that within the system and then he...
No. R2 was the GPS system. So without R2, he's lost.
Here's an interesting question for you. This is just something that I know. You know, as I walked around the convention hall, there were R2-D2s, full size, being moved around like laser guided. Some were hovering. One made me a sandwich. Like how, you know, the struggles that you had in filmmaking. What is it like to come here and see this room filled with working droids?
It's a tragedy. One of the great ironies of life, which is I spent literally 8 years trying to get R2 to work, to go more than 10 feet in a straight line, to be able to have one droid that could actually kick his leg out and go into the tripod position and move forward all at once. In the end, the droids, there were 8 of them, were so inadequate that we had to take a fiberglass mold of one of them and put it on a couple of sticks and run with some wagon wheels on it and pull it by a string. And here, they have the most beautiful R2 units you'd ever possibly imagine. They're magnificent. If only I could make another Star Wars.
I'm hoping his name is Chad, and he added it to Chadmiral Akbar, otherwise that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm sure he has a vanity plate that says, it's a trap. I've actually watched these quite a few times. Question is the names, your big Fortuners, your Dagobah system, your Forlom. Is there a process to the names? Is it a random? We'll throw up some of the names. Maybe you've got a quick Tatooine, Ewoks, Darth Vader, R2-D2, Dexter, Jester. Are there stories behind them? Is it something you pulled out of a hat? What is the story?
Well, right from the very beginning, the one thing about writing is I don't like to do it. And so I go to work at 9, I get up at 6, and all the writing is done between 5:45 and 6. I can't put it off anymore. I've got to get my 3 pages done, otherwise I'm toast. So I spend the rest of the day doing things that are supposed to be important but aren't really, just a matter of waiting to get the mail. And one of those things is to write down names. I have a little book that has names, so I'm constantly saying, oh, that'd be a good name. And I do it with my son, with my, wherever we are, even in restaurants, I'm like, oh, that's a good name, we'll write that down. And
so what about characters like friendlies? Like where oh, there's the new Admiral Nabisco.
If you look real hard, you've seen a lot of that. What did I say? Ewoks is a derivation of where we live and where the Skywalker Ranch is on an old Indian site where an Indian village was, Miwok Indians. So that's where Miwok came from. Dexter Jester was named after my son Jet, who I call Jester. What were some of the other ones?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, everybody knows that one. That's Darth Water, and or Dark Father. And it's Dark Father in Dutch or Dutchish.
Is there a Dutchish language? I didn't realize. It's very similar to Belgian.
Right next to Belgian.
Yes.
And you can see that Belgium actually was taken over by Star Wars.
Yeah! So I'm walking through the convention center, and there's a TIE fighter, and it's a full-sized TIE fighter. And I said, oh, that's amazing. And George brought that in here for people to see, and they're like, no, that was built by the Belgian 501st.
Yeah.
And,
there's usually controversy there, whether they're French, whether they're German, whether they're Belgian, and so they're going to split into 3 different countries. Now it's 4 different countries.
We are one country!
And there's a bunch of the 501st that are starting their own army there. They're going to actually break away with the whole.
What does it say? What does it feel like when you see the 501st and there are divisions and these sort of elite costuming organizations in every country in the world? Now, obviously, for me, I think is Germany the largest outside of the United States? I know Florida has the largest in the United States.
The thing about the 501st that's great is it just sprang into life, from the fans, from going to conventions,
Right.
Building the suits, and 2 guys get together, and I want to do that too, and now it's like 5,000 strong, 32 countries, and they're everywhere I go, wherever we meet them, and the thing of visiting kids in hospitals, you don't understand the significance of that until you actually see it in action, and you see the smiles on the kids' faces, being overwhelmed. It's just, it's a great thing all the way around.
Is there any concern? When you see that the largest 501st overseas is in Germany, do you have any? When you see that, I guess they're called stormtroopers. When you see if I can, does the Polish 501st ever get nervous?
You notice that the Belgian 501st has got TIE fighters, they've got Jabba the Hutt. I mean, nobody's going to take over Belgium, that's for sure.
Don't forget the rebels!
Is there a rebel?
Yes!
I don't think you were supposed to give that information out. That's a secret organization, exactly. This is something from actually someone in Orlando, Florida named Matt, so I'm assuming that they know who they are. This is more of a process type question. So obviously now when you look back, it seems sort of preordained that there would be a great success to these stories. But when you're doing A New Hope, and this really is a very different style of filmmaking and a new type of film, how do you stay positive when everything is sort of turning against you in being able to produce this, and being able to create it in the style that you have imagined it? What was the feeling like at that time?
Well, it helps to be nuts.
I think we've just written the title to your autobiography.
It's a funny thing when I like to build things and make things, and part of that, out of that, with people that like to create things, is an obsession to not have other people intrude. And you have to have just such persistence, be so stubborn, and just say, I'm right, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. God help you if you're wrong, but it's the only way you can do it is just to march forward no matter what happens and say, I'm right, this is going to be fine, and we just keep going no matter what the odds are against you. On New Hope, and even then on Attack, too many of them, the Empire Strikes Back, it was very dark. Even after, the first New Hope, getting the next film going was very, very difficult. And there was a lot of times where it looked like it wouldn't get finished, and we went through a whole lot of stuff, and you just say, I believe in this completely, and I will sink with the ship if that's what it comes down to. And if you don't have that commitment, it won't happen.
Right. And how did that work out for you?
It ended up
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, I'll never be the same. That's
Is there anything that happened in that process that was changed by other forces that you would change back? Were there certain network decisions or studio decisions or things like that that affected the final product in a manner that to this day stayed with you, or you were able to push it through?
I was very lucky in that I'm from San Francisco. My studio was in San Francisco. We're a long way from Hollywood. I made the movies in England. I tried to stay as far away from those guys as possible. When I did American Graffiti, it was, you know, a disaster. They didn't even count it as a movie. It was like they were trying to decide whether they were going to release it as a TV movie or not, because they didn't think it was that good. So when they finally got a hold of it, saw it, they didn't see anything, but at the very end they said, oh, we got to change it, and they cut 5 minutes out, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know, and made me very angry, but then it became a giant hit. Then I rode on the coattails of American Graffiti, and was fortunate to find a studio executive, Alan Ladd Jr., that said, look, you got another project? And I said, well, I got this sort of space opera thing. It's not, you know, it's really goofy. And so he read the script, and he said, look, I don't understand what you're doing. I think you're a talented guy, and I'll invest in you. And then he had to sort of keep selling it to the studio's board of directors and stuff for like 2 years, because they really didn't, you know, they weren't quite as open to new ideas as
But he championed you all the way through.
Championed me all the way through. The only thing I didn't get to do is obviously we ran out of money. We went over schedule. I couldn't do the Jabba the Hutt scene. I couldn't do some of the special effects. So I had to bring my vision down quite a bit. And but being persistent and stubborn in the way I am, you know, when Star Wars became a huge success, I went back, because Warner Brothers had recut my first film, THX, and I forced them to put it back the way it was. And then I went to Universal, and I forced them to put American Graffiti back the way it was. This was before VHS, by the way.
I understand.
And so when VHS came out, it came out with my version, and then eventually I had enough money and time and energy to do it to Star Wars and to all the parties.
I remember that. I believe that film was called Revenge of the Lucas.